Greetings, lovely Aquarius. How are you? This is your full moon in Leo reading, and we're doing it as an empowerment reading today, looking at yourself, of course, on a few different levels, current advice or opinion, past, where you're at right now. So, excuse me, where are we at? You're in a pretty good position, Aquarius. We come out pretty amazingly with this gorgeous Ace of Discs. Plentiful, plentiful. The basket is full. There's a lot. There's a lot on offer, and I do think that you're finding. I get it as a sort of level of traction where you are. That's for sure. What's around you? We get the 10 of Cups. So you're seeing a lot of, you've got a lot of love around you, is what I mean. You're seeing it. There are full cups. There's a lot of joy here in your environment. There's a lot of joyful work and progress, I guess you could say, with this glorious 10 of Cups. It's like you've gone from Ace of Pentacles, 10 of Cups. It's almost like a whole period, isn't it? A whole suit, except we start in this wonderful physical three-dimensional qualities with the Ace, a gift that comes to us, and then we find ourselves surrounded by a 10 of Cup. It's given us great something here has given you great emotional strength, great emotional comfort, actually. There's a situation here. I think we have the 9 of Wands, which is a card of being, I guess, of habits. Habits have been defensive largely. It's a sort of default mechanism. Well, this has happened in the past, so this is going to happen again, which of course is not true, but we all do this at times. This could be yourself or someone else in your situation or in your world at the moment, making assumptions on some level. Remember, these are really general readings, Aquarius. Either making assumptions about what you're going to do or what position you take or who you are, or it could be aspects of yourself, these sort of default habits. But all in all, it's looking pretty amazing with that Ace of Pentacles, 10 of Cups. You're in a really great position, sitting up there. You're in a really great position. Your past challenges, I guess, with the moon coming up here, just not knowing certain things at certain times. Often we do feel like we're moving through life a little bit in the dark sometimes, without maybe understanding, what our intentions are, even though we think we do. But consciously, it's the difference between conscious and, I guess, unconscious or not so conscious, subconscious, whatever. It's challenging and it's scary as well. And so we see this moon as a challenge. I mean, the moon often is a challenge. But what this wonderful prosperity is giving you, many options. And we have the 7 of Cups, a card of assessment. Yes, we have many options here. We're trying to figure out what one is going to work for us. But do we only have one? No, we've got quite a few. So it can be slightly confusing. What is real? What is not? Are we getting carried away a little bit too much? Or are we not? we get to choose here. We get to decide. And sometimes when the options are quite vast, it's definitely a challenge. Moving forward, future. You know exactly where you want to go. I think maybe there's a couple of hurdles here for you, or you're finding a hurdle on a personal level, or a little hurdle with the people around you, or a person around you. But often, if we look at it like sometimes the most, or what we understand or perceive to be a hurdle, certainly when it's represented in another person in our lives, there's often aspects of ourselves that we that we are challenged by, that we maybe sometimes don't see aspects, of ourselves, yet we see it in others. Can often be the way. Moving forward, Two of Wands, this beautiful Two of Wands, you have domain, you have agency, you know what you've got authority over. This is wonderful because you can see what you can do, what you can create, and what your where your boundary ends. You know what I mean, in terms of land. It's really amazing. Options and advice. Well, when we come to make decisions, we make it, the directive here is to make it not necessarily on what we're seeing, but listening to a bit more of an intuitive guidance, and allowing a time in this, allowing there to be timing within this decision. Got a bit of a delay happening here. So we have the Two of Swords. Definitely decisions are being made, or they need to be made. A choice, an option will be made at some point. But it's not so much based on what you're seeing, Aquarius, which makes perfect sense. Now, interestingly, in this reading, and we will pull a Brian Froud, some pixie and fairy cards. Interestingly, when we're looking at what needs to be cultivated at this time, Aquarius, so we know there's decision to be made. We know that you're feeling pretty confident. You're surrounded by a lot of great stuff at the moment. There's maybe a couple of little hurdles. Could be external, could be internal. When we come to see what needs to be cultivated, as I said, we get, interestingly, the Devil coming out. Attachments. Now, I would look at this in two ways, really, in this reading, that attachment is and can be a good thing. It can initiate, when people sense that, it can initiate great levels of trust, you see. But then, of course, attachment can be not only scary, but it can be claustrophobic, and it can turn into a habit. There's a wariness around it. I think in this situation, I don't think you've got reason to feel wary of that, or feeling that, is what I'm saying. And of course, remember, it's like read the, reading the room. Read the room. We're not always 100% correct on that. Sometimes we are, even beyond what is seen, even beyond that. But sometimes Yeah, we're not. I don't know why I get that, but I do. I get a sense here that there's everything that I said before, but also that there might be some potential romantic interest here or someone that represents that to you in your world at this current time. I do get that feeling. There's an aversion to feeling bonded or attached, but I don't see that devil as in its negative connotations in this reading. Anyway, it's the key to empowerment, lovely Aquarius. After all this, the key, we get the Five of Cups. So, of course, we know the five. As I said, what's happened in the past isn't necessarily going to repeat. We see it again up the top. What happens in the past isn't necessarily going to repeat. We don't need to be the wounded warrior all the time. We don't need to be defensive. Now, that could be, as I said before, someone in your life, not necessarily you. Anywho, so we come back to this five. So we see these two gorgeous full cups behind the figure. So all they have to do is look around and see it. As I said before, it's all about perspective. Sometimes you think you're reading the room right. Sometimes maybe you're not. I don't know why I get that, but I get that very strongly. There might be a lot of social activity in here. The other thing too is that on the bottom of this, we have the beautiful, I love that, the beautiful Ace of Cups. I love that representation. Let's see what Brian Froud, Pixies and Fairies, can say. So it's all pretty amazing. I think you just, I do see someone in here like a potential what did I say? Potential lover. I just knew that the fairy godmother was going to come out. Then dare I say it, look, we had this pop out afterwards. Dare I say it, a level of indigestion. Glominous doom. Now, don't get me wrong here. Glominous doom is actually quite useful. This is the process by which we allow things to pass through. And so we see in this card all these bubbles, you know, rising to the surface. We're kind of we're allowing something to pass through here. It might be uncomfortable. I do get a sense that there is someone. It's sort of about relationship, but it's also about your own independence. I do get a sense that something's passing through you, Aquarius, and it is quite uncomfortable. And you're sort of processing those, allowing those bubbles to come up. There's a digestion happening, and it's just for a period of time, like a burping baby. You know, we need to burp the baby, don't we? But with that, we have this gorgeous, glorious fairy godmother. I don't think anything that you do at this current time can go wrong for you, because you're kind of on the pulse here. You're on the pulse, as it were, overseen by this glorious shimmering light. It's quite interesting, Aquarius. So we have Glominous Doom, burping up, burping bubbles, digestion, and the fairy godmother. Can we have one more, Pixie and Fairy? Can you just tell us if this a romance kind of thing? There is something in that here, I do think. Yeah, and this could actually be a key. This is one last thing I do here. One last thing at this current time to shed. So we get the phoenix rising from the ashes. This is about changing energy at will, but it's also, it is the singer of transfiguration. It's kundalini energy. It's like spinal energy. But we can kind of pull things and earth things and draw it down into the earth, allow it to morph and shift in the way that it needs to, and bring it back up to our heart, you know. This is a great card of transformation, lovely Aquarius. I do see that certainly an internal process going on, and a shift in the way that you probably or possibly see relationships. So all in all, I think that's pretty amazing. So take care, Aquarius. We'll see you next time. Cherry.